Carey! What is this?
I don't know. Just some junk I have laying around my house like all this other junk.
No, Carey, this is Excalibur. You know, like the sword in the stone?
What good's a sword if it's stuck in a stone?
No, Carey, you don't understand. Like, whoever pulls this sword from the stone becomes the King of England.
Out of my way! I shall be the King of England!
Carey, you don't understand. Not just anyone can pull the sword from the stone. You have to be worthy.
All right, tough guy. Why don't you give it a try?
Carey, I don't think I was meant to be the King of England.
Come on, show us what you got.
Who's us?
You know, me and the sword.
All right.
Out of the way. It's mine. I loosened it for you. It's meant for me. That thing is racist.
It's another episode of an hour feature presentation. I'm Josh Sanchez, and I won't kiss you until you ask me to.
And I'm Carey Williams. I won't ever ask you to.
I don't know. She did finally give in.
Maybe you'll wear me down.
Lancelot falls in love with Lady Guinevere, who is betrothed to marry King Arthur, while they all fight to protect Camelot from a power-hungry, fallen knight. This next film is First Knight.
First Knight was released July 7th, 1995, with a budget of $55 million. It earned $10.8 million in its opening weekend and went on to gross $127.6 million. I honestly didn't know it did that well.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of money. Unlike many of the previous Arthurian films that drew to greater or lesser extent from Sir Thomas Malory's Le Morte d'Arthur, this film clearly drew from the romances written by French poet Chrétien de Troyes, who actually invented the character of Lancelot. It's pretty crazy.
Malagant is not a renamed version of the Arthurian legend Mordred, which I kind of thought it was, but a separate character who first appears in Lancelot, the Knight of the Cart by Chrétien de Troyes, written sometime between 1175 and 1181.
Yeah, and Jeremy Irons and Ralph Fiennes were considered for their role of Prince Malagant.
Jeremy Irons would have been a good one.
That's what really I thought. Good. Both of them would be good.
Though receiving top billing, Sean Connery does not appear until 30 minutes into the movie. Uh-huh. Mel Gibson was attached to this project at one stage, but chose to direct and star in Braveheart instead. Ironically, Sean Connery had to turn down Braveheart in order to do this film.
That's really crazy. And then Julie Ormond initially turned down the part of Guinevere, feeling the character was written as insufficiently strong and independent. But I'm glad she did take the role because she's great in this.
Catherine Zeta-Jones was considered for the role of Guinevere.
That's insane. Bob Anderson, the film's fight choreographer and swordmaster, had previously worked as swordmaster and Connery's fight double in the movie Highlander in 1986.
That's really cool. Mm-hmm. Long before this movie, Sean Connery portrayed the Green Knight in Sword of the Valiant in 1984, where Trevor Howard portrayed the King, a.k.a. King Arthur.
And the making of featurette, when Richard Gere prepares to rescue Guinevere for the first time, Gere stated that this would be his last action role. Sad.
The soundtrack's critically acclaimed orchestral score for First Knight was composed and conducted by veteran composer Jerry Goldsmith. Goldsmith was hired as a last-minute replacement to other noteworthy film score veteran Maurice Jarre, who was hired to score the original 3-hour cut. But as Jarre stated in 1995, Film Score Monthly interview, he had 4 weeks to do 90 minutes, and that was not enough time, and declined the offer to score the film. As a result, Goldsmith had limited time to compose original music and was left with only 3.5 days to record the entire score.
mind blown. Insane. Now let's talk about the cast. First up, of course, we have Sean Connery, who plays King Arthur. He's in Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, Diamonds Are Forever, A Bridge Too Far, Time Bandits, Highlander, The Untouchables, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, The Hunt for Red October, Highlander 2, The Quickening, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Just Cause, Dragonheart, The Rock, and Entrapment.
Richard Gere plays Lancelot. He's from American Gigolo, An Officer and a Gentleman, Pretty Woman, Primal Fear, and The Jackal.
Primal Fear is such a good movie. Next up, we have Julia Ormond, who plays Guinevere. She's in Nostradamus, League of Legends of the Fall, and Sabrina.
We have Ben Cross as Malagant. He's also in A Bridge Too Far, Chariots of Fire, The Dark Shadows TV series, and Turbulence.
And next up, we have Liam Cunningham, who plays Sir Agravain in Little Princess, Game of Thrones TV series, Clash of the Titans 2010 remake. There he is. Look at that.
We have Christopher Villiers. He's Sir Kay. He's also in The Scarlet Pimpernel, Young Sherlock, The Mystery of Manor House TV series, and Top Secret.
And then last up, we have Ralph Ineson, who plays Rolf. He's in From Hell, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Robin Hood, Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2, Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's in the IT crowd. He plays the masseuse in Something Happened episode.
And now, let's talk about the press kit.
Oh man, we're doing something a little different. I'm doing this one this time. Look at this press
Josh
kit.
just snatched it right off my table.
This is one of my favorite movies. I love this press kit, so we decided that we were gonna do it. So here's the press kit. Here's the book you can see, and this one is a little different. It's actually got a cutout. It's got a window right there, which is really, really cool. So you can actually see what's inside.
Yeah.
You see what's inside before you see what's inside. There you go. So, and of course we have this big honking thing. It's so many pages, and it says First Night right there on the page there. And then of course we have this next part here, which says First Night. It's just a bunch of this is the packet. This tells you all the characters and the wardrobe and all that other stuff. So here you go. And then here is another big packet of information. This is production information for First Night. So I'm sure it has all the studio information. And this one,
here's a little. This is the first time we've noticed this.
I didn't even see
little
this
little
here.
handwritten note.
Oh man, this is a handwritten note. It's Dear Diane, here are the production notes for First Night. The bios and all are approved. You can pull quotes from this, the first pages and text and credits, and it's all been cleared, legal, and can only. This is really cool.
It's dated 5/10/1995.
This is actually from
That's
Columbia
really cool.
TriStar Motion. I didn't even know
We even looked at the press kit
Didn't even
before
know this was in there. It was
didn't even
stuck to
see
that
it.
page. It just says that some of it's
It's even got her phone number on it. Make sure you cover that up when you show it.
We're not going to show that. And it's saying that some of it was approved for publication. And this is really cool. A lot of these come in the baggies. But this one is a plastic bag, and it's
like a paper bag.
Yeah, this is actually see-through, so you can actually see what's inside of it, and it has, of course, the Columbia TriStar Pictures logo at the bottom. A couple pictures in here, and there's also something that's really cool at the end that I'm going to pull out here. So we'll pull all these out here, and of course you have the Jerry Zucker, who's directing. There he is there. And we have the two, of course, King Arthur and Lancelot there together. Yeah. And we have Guinevere, Julia Ormond, and Lancelot, Richard Gere on horseback. I guess this is the first rescue.
Okay.
This is the first rescue when they're in the forest. And this was something that was really cool that came with it. It's like a little card. It's got the logo on it, the poster, but on the back, it's actually like a pre-screening ticket, which is really cool. It says Columbia Pictures invites you and a guest to attend a special advanced screening of First Night, Thursday, June 29th at 7:30. And of course, it's got the theater. It says admit to on there. Very, very
kind of things they'd send to like a reviewer or somebody.
Yeah, it's very, very cool.
Movie.
Which makes sense now with that note, because that would have been to a reviewer. And there you go.
Very cool.
There it is. Mm-hmm. scenes that stuck out to us. And we'll go through these really quickly because I could literally talk. This movie is like, what, 90 minutes? I could talk about this movie for like 6 hours. But we don't have that kind of time. So, but I love the intro where there's like the scrolling text. And at the very bottom, it says, times were hard. A man made his living any way he could. And Lancelot had always been good with a sword. So it shows you the kind of person that Lancelot is there right off the bat. And it shows you he's there and he's fighting somebody, but he's kind of smiling while he's doing it and kind of coaching the person. And there's people gathered around and he's like doing a street performance, which was really cool. And it's like, you want to know how to win a sword fight, be the only one with the sword. And he actually disarms the guy with this really cool maneuver. And I just thought that was one of the coolest things I'd ever seen. And it's like right out the gate you see this. And he's showing that he's a showman and that he's kind of a street performer and entertainer. And one of the other people who I guess challenges him during that time there at the beginning of the movie asks him, like, can you show me how to fight like this? And so Lancelot's, all right, so here are a few things. It's like, you have to study your opponent and how he moves. You have to know what he's going to do before he does it.
And that guy's larger than Lancelot.
That guy was,
he seemed like an imposing,
opponent for sure.
Yes.
And so you have to know that moment in every fight where you're going to win or lose, and you have to know when to wait for it, which is amazing. And then it says, also, you have to not care whether you live or die. And that just shows you, like, Lancelot,
I think the guy was with him up until that statement.
Up until that point. And then you see the village raid, and this is where we get introduced to Malagant. And Malagant, of course, is the bad guy in the movie. And he's in this village, and he accuses the villagers of a raid. He's calling for justice. He says, last night men from this village crossed the border and killed 3 of my men.
Which probably isn't even true.
No,
in the first
it's
place.
not true at all.
An excuse to do his naughty, dirty work.
And he says, in reprisal, I have destroyed your village. That is just bananas. And then we cut to Guinevere, and we see her and Lyonesse and the villagers there, and she gets she's there having, like, there's like a party. She's like she's out there playing a game. Yep. It looks almost like a version of soccer or something.
They come to her for help.
Yes, and they come to her, and her aide says, well, this is the third village burned in a week. And she knows she's there talking with her advisors, and she knows what she wants. She wants to live in her home, and she wants to die in her home.
She's very happy there.
Yeah, she loves it where she is. Yes. And she loves the people, and she loves being like a sort of governess.
And they care for her, they trust her.
Mm-hmm. So, but in this state of turmoil with all these villages getting burned, she realizes that she can't do it on her own. Like, she's like I don't have the men to be able to defend this place. Like, there's only one place that can possibly do this for me, and it's Camelot and Arthur. So she agrees, for the sake of her land, to go and meet with Arthur to see if they could get married. And she goes on a trip to go to Camelot. So on this trip to Camelot, there's Arthur's men are there. They're escorting her, and they're in the forest. And as they're in the forest, Lancelot is on horseback, just kind of, meandering through the forest. And he sees and hears some things. And this is in the path, there's a tree that's fallen. And the knights instantly think, okay, this is not normal.
Right.
This is not normal. And so they immediately, this could be an ambush, look to the trees, and they all start lining up. And it is an ambush. They get attacked by foot soldiers. And of course, Arthur's knights, they easily defend this. And they think the battle is done. But it's not. There's a second wave of horsemen, which is like mind-boggling, especially to them, because it's like all these guys, we just slaughtered them. And these horseback come. And this is something that, like, it shows you, like, her character as well, because she is, although she doesn't necessarily know how to defend herself, and she might be afraid, she has lots of courage, because there's a bolt that hits right by her window on the carriage, and she has a couple of maidens. The horses on the carriage go riding off, and she's basically in a runaway carriage, and there's people chasing her. But she's telling her maidens, like, we have to jump, like, we can't stay on this. So they jump, and she's being chased, and she's running, there's men chasing her, and she dives into the ferns. And this is where Lancelot finds her and basically rescues her. There's like 3 of them. He instantly disarms one of them with the crossbow. There's one behind him. He like does this cool sword maneuver and gets the guy behind him, takes him out. And then he's looking around, and she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, there was a third. Like, there was a third guy. We don't know where he is, but there was a third guy. And she gets captured by him. And
He's holding her hostage.
He's holding her hostage. And this, to me, is one of the coolest things, because instead of him instantly trying to, like, all right, you know, let go of her or whatever, or like,
risk her.
or like put her down, or I'll kill you, he like steers the boat in a completely different direction. He starts to act like, no, I wasn't here. I'm here to try to like get her. Like, what are you doing? Like, let's like, hey, you know what? I'll hold her down, then you hold her down. We'll both take turns. And you can see in her eyes, she's like,
she doesn't know what's happening.
She is like,
fear.
What is happening? I thought this guy was trying to rescue me, but she has the crossbow, and he looks down, and she sees the crossbow, and then she kind of figures out what's going on, and she's like, look, she's waiting for you.
She's got something.
She's like, she's got some. Just turn her around, and she turns around, and instant the crossbow in him, and done. And then they kind of ride off together. And as they're riding off, she says, why would you risk your life for me? And this is something that, like, it shows you, like, his confidence, Lancelot's confidence. He's like, I didn't risk my life.
He didn't feel any danger for
himself. I
himself.
didn't risk my life for you. And she's like, you can kind of see, she's like, what do you mean? It's like, they could have killed you. It's like, I'm not that easy to kill. Trust me, I'm not that easy to. And this, I love this, because he's a boss. He's a boss. And the conversation here seems to kind of like go a little in a little bit of different direction, because she seems to try to impress him at this point. Like, well, you know who I am. I'm a lady.
Of a big deal.
I'm a kind of a big deal. And Lancelot doesn't really care, because that's not who he is.
She's probably not used to that.
Yeah,
either.
she's not
Most
used to that.
people are gonna like, it's gonna matter to them.
Yes. And he's like, I would have been just as happy to have saved a milkmaid, is what he says to her. And she's, well, I can reward you. And he's like, well, a milkmaid as pretty as you could give me all the reward I wanted. And then she slaps him because she's insulted by this. And kind of rightfully so.
She's not used to being spoken to by somebody like that.
Yes.
Either.
And, he doesn't know who she is, and he doesn't care, really. And you insulted me. And then he grabs her and kisses her.
He's kind of a rascal. So he's just like he was teasing the guy at the beginning. He's teasing her a little bit with his dialogue.
So he grabs her and kisses her, and he said, no, now I've insulted you. And I just love this interaction, because both of these actors are phenomenal. And it's just, they stand there and they're looking at each other. And she just stands there, and he kisses her again, but she's got her eyes closed. So she's just kind of like, this guy, I can't really do anything to defend this guy. So if he wants to have his way with me, there's nothing I could do. Like, there really isn't. And he kisses her, and then he realizes, like, she's not reciprocating. But he can kind of tell maybe she wants to, and he says, you know what, I won't kiss you again until you ask me to kiss you. And she says, I'll never ask you.
So that's why you thought that'd work at the beginning.
That's how I thought it worked. She's like, so you insult me, and now you're basically abandoning me. And then he says, I'm not abandoning you. There's a road ahead, and I presume there's your brave escort. And then he rides off, and that's basically this is the first time.
Seeking no real reward.
No reward at all. That's just the kind of guy he is. He's just out there doing his thing. And this is where we first see Arthur. The knights, they finally take her to kind of like the edge of the city. On the far outskirts. And I loved this part of the movie, because it just shows, like, even though this is like a medieval type movie, it shows like the pomp and like the organization and the discipline. Because you see the knights, they're all there, and they have like torches and swords and stuff, and they do this like cross thing where they like cross, and as they open up, you see Arthur's on the other side, and it's the revealing of Arthur. and they're walking up, and I thought it was one of the coolest things because it's night, and they're like on this like small hill beside the city. And of course, as they're walking, Arthur asks for a briefing. He's like, all right, so what happened? Was Lady Guinevere in any danger? And his lieutenant says, like, my lord, we were all in danger. And you can see Arthur kind of like give him like a glance, like, that's not what I asked. And he says, yes, she was endangered. And Arthur, like, there's a rebuttal there. Were you prepared for the second attack? And he says, well, how could we? They lost so many men in the first attack, and they had a second wave, and none of them came to rescue their first wave. That's not sane.
Right.
That's not sane.
It's not typical battle tactics.
That's not. You just don't let your people die. And so, this is something that I thought was really cool about Arthur's character, especially in this movie, because his lieutenant is trying to give him all the information, but also try not to offend him because he knows he's the king. The king can just say, you're dead.
Right.
Like, you're dead.
Guards!
Exactly. Guards, you're gone. And so this night, he's like, how could we? They lost so many men the first attack. How could we guess there was a second wave? Watching their comrades die, and Arthur says, well, Malagant doesn't care about how many men.
Kind of revealing his character of who he is.
Yes.
That's honestly something that Arthur's not surprised about, but these other men are, because they're not used to tactics like that.
Exactly. So long as he wins. And his lieutenant, his knight there, says, I will not fail you again, sire. And I thought this was a really cool like response that Arthur says to him. He says, look, we fought in many battles, and no one's perfect. But because we're fighting Malagant, now that I'm paraphrasing here, he says, like, we fought in many battles, but I need to know all the details. So this is like, he trusts his men. Like, look, this is not the normal enemy that we're used to fighting.
Malagant's different.
Malagant's different, and we learn
by the normal rules.
We learn a little later why he's a little different, and so they climb the hilltop, and that's where you see Camelot. They go in, and Lancelot eventually comes into the city. And when they're in the city, there's a huge party. There's this gauntlet going on, and there's people in padding. It's kind of like gladiators.
Yes. It's American gladiators.
Gladiators with this machine. As the king comes out, the guy who's kind of like organizing the festivities for the gauntlet, he says, "Hey, king, would the would-be queen, would she bestow a kiss on whoever wins?"
Kind of a bold thing to ask for, honestly.
Yes, it's very bold. And she agrees. She's like, all right, cool. And Lancelot's there in the crowd. And this is one of my favorite scenes because you see these guys getting padded up. You also saw before one of the guys, he's running the gauntlet in pads, and he gets hit and he flies off. And it's not like a light hit. He like flies off the gauntlet. And
he's padded.
So there's all these guys padded up. So Lancelot sees, all right, so Guinevere's going to give a kiss to whoever wins. And he's looking at this thing, and he climbs up, and he's in the starting position. And there's like 2 or 3 guys suiting up. And the guy who's like the foreman organizing the guys going, he's like, hey, moron, you can't go pad up first, you idiot. And he just goes, Lancelot goes, and you can see like his reflexes, his timing, his like agility just instantly come into play.
From previous interactions, he's very good at assessing situations.
Yes. And that's where that line earlier, you have to know what your opponent's going to do before they do it. And you have to know when you're going to win or lose and know when to react. And this is showing like he knows how to do this. He's built his life around this. So he goes through, and of course, he wins. He does the gauntlet, and the crowd is cheering.
There's axes and all kinds of things
crazy.
swinging.
It's so cool because, the special effects here, they show like, it's like a green screen thing, whatever. But at the time, it was amazing. It still looks awesome. So he wins, and he's getting escorted to the basically the staging area where the king and would-be queen are sitting. And the crowd is chanting, kiss, 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 kiss. And so he gets to the stage, and Arthur is like extraordinary, unbelievable. What is your name? And he says, my name's Lancelot. He's like, I won't forget that name. And then Arthur kind of escorts him over to Guinevere and says, your prize. And they have a little bit of an interaction here because earlier Lancelot said, I won't kiss you until you ask me to. So knowing that, he says, ask me. And she quietly says no, which is great. Ask me. And then she kind of smiles. She's like, there's like a little smirk there, no. And then he says, ask me. And then she says very sternly, never.
Then he kind of plays to the crowd.
And then he plays to the crowd, which is like saving face, for everybody. I dare not kiss so lovely a lady is what he says. I only have one heart to lose, which is so poetic, so poetic. And he kneels and kisses her hand, and the look on her face, the look of relief on her face.
She's in an awkward scenario.
She's in a very, very awkward scenario. And this whole, most people know the story of King Arthur and Lancelot and Guinevere. It's a love story. It is 100% a love story as well as an adventure story. And this is what this story is. It's a love story. So and I love a good love story as long as there's action in it.
Well, the reality of it is too, she's just learning who Arthur is.
Yeah.
And realistically, people in positions of power in those eras aren't always the kindest of humans.
Yes, yes.
So if you do something that embarrasses or scorns them in any way, and be like, God's killed her, you know what I mean? So she doesn't know how bold to be or how to react through these situations sometimes either, because she's just met Arthur.
Yep. So later on in the movie, they do say that they have interacted before, like when Arthur was younger and she was much younger. There's a scene where he was like hunting with her father because her father had just recently passed. That's why she's basically trying to take over her. She's trying to take care of her country, Lyonesse, by herself. She has her aides, but her father passed away. So he was hunting and he injured her hand. He injured his hand in the hunt and it was bleeding. And she was there and she helps heal the wound. And he still has a scar. So they have, later on in the movie, there's a little bit of this
past interaction.
Yeah, I remember this wound and I was always grateful for this. So there is a little bit of a connection. Arthur knows that he loves her because of that kindness. And they're trying to get to know each other a little more. Well, back to after the gauntlet, Arthur takes Lancelot into basically the round table. And this just boggled my mind. It's
let me show you around.
And let me show you around. And the
this
trust,
is nice, isn't
the trust level here, it was just, I get it. It's a story. You have to progress the movie. And he takes him to the round, so he puts it out. I'm to be married soon.
It's probably one of the most important places in the world.
Yes, and he's telling basically Lancelot, look, this is Camelot, but Camelot isn't just a town. It's not the city. It's an idea. If you burn the whole town down, the city down, it still lives in the people that survive. It's not just me. It's not just the round table. It's an idea.
It's a way of life.
It's a way of life. And he's like, I know you're a traveling mercenary merchant. You fight for money sometimes. You entertain, but why don't you put roots down here? You could be a part of something.
He likes his bravery and maybe kind of wants to change his mindset slightly.
Yes. And so we see now that they're having a meeting because all the knights are there in the round table. And he says, I have a special guest. This is my queen to be. We're all, I want you to meet Guinevere. So she's there sitting there with the knights. And he's bringing our special guest. And it's Malagant.
And you're not expecting the villain to just kind of be at home. Basically.
At all.
Hey, guess who's here?
I remember watching this in the theater, and this blew my mind. I was like, what is this guy doing here? What is happening? And to show you the acting and the writing, you can see that Guinevere is visibly upset by this whole thing. She thinks there's some kind of backdoor dealing happening right now because of the conversation that goes back and forth. It's I assume that because Malagant says, I assume Lyonesse will be under Camelot's protection. And Arthur, the rebuttal here is, does Lyonesse need protecting?
Right.
This is
basically, what are you telling me?
And Malagant says, let's divide half for you, half for me, because her dad's dead. So let's just divide half. And it's and he kind of pauses for a second, and you can see Guinevere is on this edge of her seat. She's like,
what's his answer going to be?
What's happening right now? And he says, I can't give you what isn't mine. There are laws, and Malagant goes into this whole thing. And this is where you learn in this whole entering, because there's one sword missing on the round table, that you learn that Malagant used to be one of the knights. Because he's like, I see my place hasn't been taken, and he puts his sword down. So now this is the enemy. he knows their tactics.
Right. And that's why, like,
that's
at the beginning, why he did what he did.
Said, like, okay, we know that this guy knows how we fight, and he's going to use that against us.
It's like having your playbook against the other team.
But Lancelot is standing on one of the battlements, and Guinevere, I guess, gets a message that there's somebody coming on a boat, like with a message. So she thinks it might be somebody from Lyonesse. So she goes to meet where the little boat dock is, because that's one of like the entrances when they close the gates of the city. That's one of the only ways to get in and out. So there's this boat coming up, and as soon as the boat gets to the dock, she rushes to the boat, like thinking it's one of her messengers. I think she says Jacob. What's going on? What's going on? And the guy takes off a cloak and instantly snatches her. And like 8 guys rise up from the water,
which is crazy.
Which is crazy.
He's hanging onto the boat.
It's like were they hanging on the boat? They have the Bugs Bunny straw thing. Like, how do these guys get there? But it was awesome because they all rise up. They shoot these crossbows, and this was one of the coolest things because the boat is attached with a rope to like a pulley on a tree on the other side, and this horse goes riding away. And because
typically, if you're going to be rowing, you're not going to get away.
You're not going to get away. That boat basically 180 turns and just takes off. It is like a speedboat going. And Lancelot sees this whole thing transpiring, and without thinking about his own life, or possibly thinking, this isn't going to hurt me, I know how to handle myself, he dives into the water.
It's not even honestly a situation he's never necessarily ever encountered or understands.
Yes, so he dives into the water and rushes to the boat, and they capture her. She's gone. And on the way, she rips part of her dress because she knows that they're going to be coming after her to rescue her, and she tosses a part of her dress on the bushes.
Leave a clue behind.
I thought that scene of her tossing a piece of her dress onto the bushes, I must have rewound that part like a good 10, 15 times, because it's like, that is such a cool shot, and how did she get it to land so perfectly? It's movie magic. Come on, it's movie. She didn't really do it. And of course, King Arthur says, take a brigade, not a battalion. So they want to take a battalion, but Arthur's like, no, take a smaller group of men, because that's what he wants.
To go unnoticed.
Because he knows that's what Malagant wants.
He wants war.
Malagant wants to empty the city because he wants to burn the city, is basically what he says. No, take a small group, go. And Lancelot's in pursuit, and he reaches his fortress, Malagant's fortress. And it is this rundown, dank, dark,
it's no Camelot.
Rocks. It's no Camelot.
Polar opposite.
It's no Camelot. And he's walking up, and as he's walking up to the thing, he has his Lancelot senses. He's like, no, there's like a million guards here. So he stops, and he's like, I'm unarmed, you know.
I guess a good way to put it is he's more rogue-like they are, but with actual honor.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
he's more stealthy.
Mm-hmm.
He's not just like, run to the front door kind of guy. He's doing it stealthily, but he has honor. He's not somebody that'll do whatever, in an evil way.
Exactly. So when they get back to Malagant's fortress, Malagant notices that her dress is ripped. And he says, I told you to take her without harming her, like you harmed her. And he beats up his dudes, which is crazy. He beats up his dude, and that's.
I feel like that's that's a typical archetype for that kind of villain. Yeah. It's their second in command, kind of you know what I mean.
The whipping boy.
Yes.
The whipping boy. Yes, the whipping boy, and that's where we see Guinevere get put into a pit, the oubliette.
The oubliette, which is the second oubliette we've had on this show. The first one being Labyrinth.
Yep. And Lancelot comes in. He says he's a messenger, and he says, I want to see her to see that she's actually alive. And they escape. And, without going into a lot of details, but they escape. And they're riding through the forest because he has his horse there. And this next scene I just thought was very cool, because it's raining and they stop, and it's like, well, why have we stopped? He's like, I'm tired.
I'm tired. Man, do you see all the stuff I just did to save you?
I'm tired. And so they're under this tree, and it's raining, and they're trying to kind of get out of the rain. But he kind of perks up, and he's like, oh, I can gather water. So he kind of cups the leaves and stuff, and it just shows you because he's been on his own for so long. He knows, like, he's not close to a stream, he's not close to a lake. He knows how to gather resources on his own. So he's like basically giving her water, and she says again, more water, and then she asks him, so like, you don't have a home, like I have no home. It's like, I'm my own master, I go where I please, I have nothing to lose. And
she thinks of it as a strength. Yeah, and they're trying to explain to him it's not.
Yeah, she's like, you should settle down. Like, you have all these great characteristics. Like, they could be helpful to some people. And he explains, like, no, because if I were to build a house, that's something that warlords can come and burn. And
he's not afraid of anything but that.
Yes, and she says, is that what happened? It's like, well, God saved you from such a day. And, he's like, well, he didn't. How old were you? He was just a little kid. He was just a little kid with this. And this flashback, like, watching this movie, I remember even in the theater, even now, it wrenches me. It's like this, like, oh man, like, he was a little kid. Thing. His whole family was locked in this house and it burned down from these warlords. And God saved him from such a day. And he says he didn't save me, but she says, no, he did. God saved you from that.
Right.
And it's like, but for what? He's like, it made you the person who you are, a man who fears nothing. You can use that as a gift, use it for good. And so this interaction there between them, because they're alone, and she kind of lets her guard down a little more because he's opened up. He's vulnerable now from explaining his past, but she still won't give in because she's like, I'm going to be married. Like, you don't understand. Like, this can't happen. I'm going to be married. And he says, basically, I give my life to you. Like, just to show, like, this dude is a loner. He's a rogue.
He cares about family.
Yes. He's a rogue. He just said he has no home, but he's basically willing to give all that up for her, which is just, like, mind-blowing. And, of course, they get interrupted by the soldiers. Again, they get interrupted by the soldiers. They get back to Camelot, and she runs and is embraced by Arthur, and they're basically married, like, on the spot. It's like a few minutes later, they're married. And Arthur, because of Lancelot's bravery, basically going out by himself and rescuing her single-handedly.
He's blown away by
it.
He is in
almost
awe. Like humbles himself.
Yes.
Because he's doing something that a king probably wouldn't normally do because they think they're above certain things.
And his lieutenants, they question him about this. They're like, we don't know anything about this guy. Like, you need to slow down a little bit. And so he offers him the seat at the round table, and he accepts. And then they're in the church, and Guinevere, they basically, he gets knighted.
Because he doesn't just see it just as an act of, you saved my bride.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's not just like a random act of bravery. You've literally saved the women that I'm set to marry.
Yep. And then they have the wedding and the swearing in, and he's, the whole thing. And they, say they're interrupted by Jacob. Malagant has taken Lyonesse. So Lyonesse has fallen. And all right, let's get the troops. And the marching of the troops, all of the knights in their armor marching, and you just, like, when they get to the hilltop, you see Lyonesse burning in the distance, and Arthur says, look, the gates are open. And he points at a field, he says, make camp there. And his lieutenant, knowing tactics, says, that's not a good spot. That's open. We can't defend that.
But Arthur knows.
Arthur knows. He says, he just looks at him, and his lieutenant says, yes, sir. And they make camp, and night falls. Arthur knows. He knows tactics. So this camp is there, and there's a herd of sheep coming by. But it's not a herd of sheep. Like, half of them are Malagant's men, and they instantly storm the camp. And then about 10 seconds in, maybe less, they realize there's nobody here. The camp is empty. There's nobody. It's all dummies. And then you see on the tree line the row of archers and all of their arrow tips starting to light up. And that, to me, was one of the coolest things I'd ever seen. And it just, like, this, like, all these cool things, it just, like, one after another keep getting better. I'm like, oh my gosh, they just lit their arrows on fire. Yes, it's about to go down. And then you see all the knights riding in the darkness. Yes. That was one of the coolest. It's just complete black, and you just see a slight glint shining off their armor, and then all their swords. And I thought this was just like, to me as a kid, even now watching it, I was like, wow, this is so cool. And the clash, and they're fighting, and of course, you know, there's a lot in a fight scene. Watch it for yourself, of course, it's great. And one of the men says to Arthur, they're fleeing, sir, shall we pursue? And he says, no, let them go. We need to go to Lyonesse. So they go to Lyonesse, and as they enter the city, they're in like the little courtyard square, and they're all everything's burnt. Arthur's there, and Guinevere's there, and Lancelot, all the knights, and Lancelot, he sees across the courtyard, the church is barricaded. And this, it gets me every time. It gets me every time. Like even now, like thinking about it, it gets me. He immediately dismounts and he flashes back.
He's panicked.
He flashes back, and his scream, his yelp, no, because he's in his mind, it's his family.
It's the worst thing that's ever happened.
It's the worst thing. It's the worst thing, and it wrenches me. Like even thinking about it now. And he rushes over there, and you can just see, like, in Guinevere's face, she's like, because she knows.
Right.
She knows the story.
The backstory.
She's like, oh my God, like, there's people in there.
It's so painful for him to relive
It's so
it.
painful. And all the knights go over. They unbarricade the door, and the people, they're okay. They're disheveled, a little singed, and they're coming out, and they're all, thank you, thank you, thank you. And there's a little boy that comes out and says, directly to Lancelot, can we go home now, sir? And you can see that it hits him.
Right.
It hits him hard.
Because he empathizes. It's
Yes.
just like, you know, when it's things with my own son that I see him go through, and it makes me reflect back to when I was his age, and you have more empathy for it.
And this changes Lancelot. He was willing to basically risk everything for an idea, to care about something. And because of this, having to relive his past, he goes off by himself and he is bawling. He is crying because of all the memories being stirred up again. It's
all pouring out.
It's horrible. It's horrible. So he makes a decision. He says, I'm out of here. I'm gone. But he goes to Guinevere in one of her chambers because she thinks, well, he enters and she thinks it's somebody else. And he says, I come to say goodbye. She said, where will you go? He's like, wherever the road leads. Well, when can we expect to see you again, is what Guinevere says. And he's like, I don't think I'm coming back. And when he says that, her face reaction, because she's used to him being there now.
Right.
And because of all that he's done for her.
It's hard for her.
It's hard for her. And he sees that. And Guinevere asks for the kiss. And they kiss. And of course, like in all movies,
not good timing.
Not good timing. Arthur walks right in, and it's just
You see the betrayal on his
it's the
face.
instant betrayal, and she's in tears, and he's holding her, and it's just gut wrenching.
And the challenge with it is, especially, they're all good people.
They're all good people, exactly. They're all good people, and
It's not like she's got a crappy husband that she, is bad to her, and it's not like Lancelot's necessarily like a terrible person.
Yep,
Like
it's-
I know that's adultery.
It's
but
horrible. It's
unintentional
horrible all
to-
the way around, and it's gut wrenching all the way around. And it's, the king asks her, you're like, I'm going to ask you to tell me the truth. Don't lie to me, even if you think it's going to hurt me. He's questioning Guinevere. Have you given yourself to him? And she says no. And then he asks, do you love him? And she says yes. And it says, like, how did I fail you? And she's like, you never failed me. It's like, well, all I want is your love. And she says, you have it. And he questions that. Do I? Do I have your love? And then the look on both of their faces, it's just phenomenal acting. And he goes to see Lancelot, because Lancelot is basically locked in his room, and he's angry. Rightfully so. I mean, and he
feels betrayed by two different people.
Yes.
Because he has a high regard for Lancelot too.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just for her. It's like he's like, how could you betray me? Like
and his
this?
judgment is a little because of it being so close to him. He goes to his Knights of the Round Table and says, we're gonna have a trial. And he's like, these knights are all right, like as it should be. He's like, this is going to be a public trial.
He's trying to always be on the up and up with how things are done.
But he says it's going to be a public trial. And his knights instantly push back. No, sir, this needs to be a private. He's like, no, everybody needs to know this is wrong. And we cut to the trial. It is in the square with hundreds of people around. And they're basically on platforms. Guinevere's on one side, Lancelot's on one side, and King Arthur's in the middle on this platform, and basically saying that this is treason. You guys committed treason and it's punishable by death, which is just mind blowing.
I don't think that Arthur thought it would go to that escalation level. Like
yeah.
he just wanted to be on the up and up, and like I think he like almost like regrets instantly that like this is the way it goes.
Yep. So it's not instant because he says this is treason, punishable by death. And Lancelot may speak to these charges, and he says, "I have something to say to the king and the king alone." And they say, "Okay." So he goes over and he kneels before the king, and he says, "You can take my life. I give my life for Camelot. Take it." Like, and as soon as he says that, Arthur realizes he's in the wrong. He's like, "Nope, they did wrong here. Like, even though you guys messed up, what I'm doing right now is wrong." And in the middle of this, who goes there? Who goes there? Who goes there? On the battlements, there are people showing up, guards that aren't guards from Camelot.
Right.
And who goes there? The gates close, but it's too late. Malagant rides into the square, and they have basically infiltrated the city right in the midst of this court trial.
They're always looking for a
way
weak
in,
minute,
a chance
distracted
for
anything.
when their defenses are down, and he's there, and he says, "Nobody move, or Arthur dies," because he's basically right there, can kill Arthur point blank. All the X's are covered. I'll burn the city. And Arthur says, "My men are unarmed. If it's me you want, take me." And says, God makes us strong for a while so that we may help the weak. That's what Arthur says. And Malagant says, "My God makes me strong so that I can live my life." He says it with such pompousness. And it's just great because the actor who portrays him is just magnificent. And then he says, Arthur says to serve one another. I say you should start living for yourselves. Now, this is freedom. This is the freedom I bring you. Freedom from Arthur's tyrannical dream, Arthur's tyrannical law, Arthur's tyrannical God. These lines hit me so hard.
He views it as like a bad thing.
Oh, yeah.
He views Arthur's trying to be on the up and up about things as like negative.
That's negative, yep. And it says, I want your people to see you kneel before me here and before you die. And he's like, well, I have no pride left in me, Arthur says, because he's already at his lowest point.
Right.
Because of this whole Lancelot.
One of the worst things that could ever happen to him has happened to him.
Yeah, it's happened to him, and he realizes he's partially in the wrong for doing this trial. So he's like, I have no pride left in me. Like, what I do now, I do for the pride for my people and for Camelot. And I ask that you forgive me in my last act as king. I do this as king, so don't be afraid. And he basically goes over and he kneels and says, I, Arthur of Camelot, I command you now. And he gets up. He gets up and he says, fight, never surrender, fight. And those are basically his dying words. Like, I mean, he does live a little longer, but he gets hit by maybe a half dozen crossbolts, and the battle that ensues now. There's so much back and forth here. There's the main fight, Lancelot and Malagant, because they're fighting basically all throughout the courtyard. I love the music here. But during this fight scene between the two, both Lancelot and Malagant's blades, they have no blades.
Right.
This is one of the cool things that we found out.
Cinema magic.
Yeah, cinema magic. So in order for them to like be able to react quickly, they had just handles, hilts with the cross guards, and they were faking like they were doing it. And all of this was turned in CG to swords, which is amazing. And I did not know this at all. This was mind-blowing. After watching this movie so many times, did not know this. So they could swing them faster, and then when the film, of course, arrived on VHS, and it was in the full-frame widescreen format, you could see in some of the scenes where he's just holding bladeless sword, which is really cool. So maybe we'll be able to see it on this one. It's so cool. And of course, there's a fight, and there's so many cool little things here that happen. One of the nights, he's swordless, and then he says sword, and there's another night he kicks up the sword to him. It's really cool. And Malagant and, of course, Lancelot are fighting, and he stabs him with a dagger. Malagant stabs Lancelot with a dagger, and he's basically swordless. He sees Excalibur, Arthur's, we can only assume it's Excalibur. We see Arthur's sword, which he dropped earlier, and Lancelot picks it up, and this is his moment. He says, you must always find where you're going to win or lose and know when to strike. And this is where he knows he's either going to win or lose, and he gets up, and the quickest you've ever seen him fight in the entire movie, Lancelot is basically attacking and parrying Malagant's every sword strike with the swiftness that I've never seen before. It's just this ding, 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 ding. And he does the disarm thing that he does with, 4 or 5 other people in the movie. And the sword goes flying in the air, and Malagant sits on Arthur's throne, and Lancelot basically impales him. So he got his wish. He died on the throne. Crazy.
Very short-lived.
Very, very, very short-lived throne. And Lancelot takes the sword to Arthur, and Arthur basically says, I give you my sword. The future of Camelot is with you. So take care of her. And he reminisces of feeling the love, because he's like, I have my wife here who I can see who's clearly upset that I'm going to die. And I know that basically the kingdom's in good hands with people like, I guess, Lancelot in control. Not necessarily in control, but like the spirit.
Right.
The spirit of it. And then the funeral. And this funeral gets me every time. Like, even though, Sean Connery shows up 30 minutes into the movie.
He's important.
He's still important. And it's the fanfare, the tribute to him when they all pull out their swords and he does the sword thing, and then of course they shoot the arrow and it lights the pyre on fire.
He's respected and beloved.
Yes, and it gets me every time. So
this is an important one to you.
This is an important one.
That's why I wanted you to do the press kit, and I wanted you to tell us why it's important to you.
This one's important to me because I have 2 older brothers. One of my older brothers helped us film. He's not here filming with us today, but he helped us film. And he, anybody who has older siblings, and I was like in middle school at the time, they were in high school. You kind of look up to them, and they're like, man, they're so cool. And it's not even necessarily like them, but like you see their friends, like, man, my brother's got cool friends, man. Like, they're so cool. And like the clothes that they wear, how they talk, how they act, the jokes that they tell, where they hang out. It's just the whole vibe of everything they do. You're like, man, this is so cool. And they would always go, like, they would have this like routine, like, we would go to church on a Sunday, and then immediately after church, we would all either go out to eat or whatever, go hang out at someone's house. But they would be like 5 or 6 of them. They would always go to the movie theater and see like the $1.50 movie at the time. And the $1.50 movie was life. I can honestly say the $1.50 movie theater was life changing for me, because it wasn't my brother that asked me. It was one of his friends. Says, hey, maybe your brother wants to come. And my brother's like, I don't think he wants to come to this. And it wasn't like anything out of malice. Like, it was just kind of like,
he was just surprised.
It was just like, he's not going to want to watch these kinds of movies with us. We're going to go see like an adult movie. And he's like, he's a middle schooler. Like, what does he care about this? But I remember he asked, we're going to go see a movie. And I was like, I want to see this movie. And it was this movie. And I remember seeing it in the theater, and it was just, I still remember it. I still remember sitting in the theater. It was like, there must have been like 10 of us, and six of them were my brother's friends and my brother. So
you feel like a big deal.
Yes, this was a big deal to me. And I went to maybe 4 or 5 more movies with them after this, but this is the only one that I remember going and seeing, because it was the first one.
It's the first one.
It was this excitement
you got welcomed into that world.
It was this excitement. Oh my gosh, these older guys of they're my brother's friends. They're all cool. They want me, this nobody kid, to go with them and see this movie. And I was just like on the edge of my seat the entire time. And you know, maybe I had this like thought of like, oh, maybe they're gonna ask me questions afterwards, but I was on the edge of my seat the entire time, just soaking this movie up.
What made it more magical for you than the others? Because
Yes.
it was like a, you know, defining moment in your life for you.
Yes. It was. That's why this movie is very
Rite of passage.
It was a rite of passage, and whenever this movie came on TV, I 100% would sit and watch through the whole thing. And it's a great movie because it's got action. It's like who doesn't like an action movie? I
was always a fan of like medieval or sword and sorcery kind of movies.
I loved it, and I thought it was very, very mature, and it had mature themes. It was this love story, and I felt grown up watching it. I was like, wow, this is what grown-ups watch. This is cool. This is awesome, and it's a very well-produced movie. So that's what this movie means to me. It's a big memory, like part of me, of growing up. Yep.
It's awesome. It's nice when you get to relive those childhood moments.
Yep, exactly. So I mean, what was your favorite character?
King Arthur. It's tough because, you know, Lancelot's an awesome character. He's got that, you know, that confidence, and you know, he's got his little, he's kind of a rascal, you know what I mean? But King Arthur, it's just, he's got that nobility about him, but he's likable. He's not just rigid. He's open-minded about things. And Sean Connery at the time, he's somebody else that's been in like many other movies, like they mentioned Highlander and stuff like that. So it's like, he's also somebody that I you know, had a bigger track record for.
Yeah.
So like, you know, when I watched it, it was like Sean Connery was a bigger deal, even though, like you said, he doesn't come in for like 30 minutes. He's also very likable.
Yep.
Even though, you know, Lancelot's more of the star of the movie.
Yeah.
But like, I still like King Arthur. I like the way he handles his situations as well. And you know, he's very honorable, and Sean Connery just does a good job playing him.
My favorite character was Lancelot by far. This movie, because of being, you know, taken with my brother as friends, I kind of viewed my brother and their friends as a Lancelot. Like, this is the cool guy.
He's the cool knight.
He's the cool dude that just is cool. And then favorite actors, yours was?
Sean Connery.
Sean Connery is great. I again, this movie, I couldn't pick one. I love Richard Gere in this movie, and I love Julia Ormond. This was one of the first movies I've ever seen her in, and you know, Ben Cross, the guy who plays Maligan, I thought he was a great villain in this movie. And then Ralph Ensign, who plays Rolf in this.
I love when they have their own name in the movies they're in, or shows that they're in.
I love his portrayal of the character too, because he's kind of like, he's the sycophant, but he's also like this tough guy, but he's also like very subservient to his lord. Like the guy beats him up several times. And now let's talk about some of the props. So there's so many things coming around here. So
we
have this great, oh my gosh, I mean,
lots of medieval armor.
Lots of stuff. We have, of course, the sign here, First Night. And anything special about any of these before we walk
we just have the VHS, the DVD, and the Blu-ray. Again, it's not one that's made it past Blu-ray yet, so we tried to feature each of the formats that it currently exists on.
And we have this awesome, very, very awesome helmet created by none other than, I mean, who created this?
Amy Williams.
And then we're gonna come over here to the prop table. There's so many. We have the sword here, of course.
It doesn't care for my touch.
It doesn't care for your touch. And then we have some props here that we'll talk about. I mean, we have all this armor. It's so great.
Guinevere's featured. We have another sword aside from Excalibur. We have many different forms of armor and leather work, and
this is so great. So many great things here. It's just so cool. So cool. Yep. One thing that kind of like shocked me about this movie is how quickly he accepted Lancelot into his ranks. So what are your thoughts on that?
I'm surprised there wasn't more of a vetting process, to become one of the Knights of the Round Table. You know, you'd think that maybe there'd be something like a vetting process for it.
You men have been selected as the finalists to become one of my Knights of the Round Table. You are all the fairest in the land, from far and wide, high and low, from all walks of life. You each get 3 strikes. Some of you have 2. You know who you are.
We're honored, sire.
It is a great honor to be here, sir.
I'm excited to meet Guinevere.
What? Who said that? Guards! Oh, okay, good. I have several final tests for you brave knights. It is a test of your purity. I have prepared a series of questions just to see what kind of men you are.
I'm ready to show it to Guinevere.
What's that? Guards!
What? Nay! Nay! Nay!
He called himself Haman, but he rode a cat. No cats. Not while I'm king. I think he was getting ideas to ride Guinevere like that. Not gonna happen. Who's got the power now, man? Now, do all of you men practice chastity?
Of course
Queen
I
do
do,
desire.
sire.
I do believe that's a strike for you. Let us continue. Do you men pledge unwavering fidelity to your king and kingdom?
I practice
my
infidelity.
That's strike 2, my lecherous fellow. It seems like someone's been smashing pots and trimming the bushes in the courtyard. I keep my rupees in there. Guards! And now, for our last but most important question. What do you think of her?
Oh, she's a Renaissance maiden if I've ever seen one.
Guards! Kill him! Kill him! I said no cats! But I'm glad we got rid of him! That crazy shouting cat man yammering on about thunderstorms. I think he was calling Guinevere a cat hoe! That salacious fellow should have kept his sword in its scabbard. Stupid sword of omens, it's no match for Excalibur! How about you men? What do you think of her?
Think of who?
Good answer. Now, for the final test. Ink-a-dink, or is it eeny meeny?
Yes.
Guards! You have shown great courage and honor. What's your name?
Lancelot, sire.
I think we shall work well together.
Well, that was an interesting vetting process. But hey, I guess you got to get there somehow, right?
How about that Sean Connery accent?
Oh my god.
He was a character.
He was a character.
That's how I make my determinations of things as well.
I believe it. Thank you so much for watching another episode of And Now Our Feature Presentation. Again, I'm Josh Sanchez, and this is
Carey Williams.
We don't just love 80s and 90s movies.
We live them.